Hello, this is a video about pushchairs, and it's just explaining really that it's really important to wean your child off using pushchairs as early on as possible, because it's going to do their gross motor skills, particularly their leg muscles and their core, so much good if they can practice walking wherever they go. Ideally, children would start to walk distances. As soon as they start walking, make sure you take them out the pushchair and give them those opportunities to stretch their muscles and really sort of engage those core muscles that they have. And also it helps with their balance, their spatial awareness. It's obviously when they're really small. So if your child starts walking at 12 months, for example, they're not going to be able to walk from Oxford Road Library all the way into town without getting tired. So by all means, take a pushchair with you. This is going to take some time to get them used to walking that distance, but allow them to have a little bit of a walk, and then when they start getting tired, put them in the pushchair for a little bit so that they can have a bit of a rest, and then get them out again when they've had a little bit of a rest, and just keep doing that throughout the journey. And you'll see that the more they do it, the better they become and the longer they can walk for. It's so important that they get these opportunities, and it's good for them in a social aspect as well, because when they're sat in the pushchair, quite often pushchairs now seem to be made where the child is facing outwards, and we think, great, they can see what's going on, life's good. But actually they're missing out on seeing your face when you're talking about all the things that you can see when you're walking with your child. So you might be saying, oh, I can see a big bus over there, but your child can't see where you're looking, and unless you get down and you point, they don't really know which direction that bus is. And also, when we used to have forward-facing pushchairs, those pushchairs where the babies are able to look at you, they can see the formation of your words, they can see your facial expressions, and when they're facing forwards, they miss all that. So by walking is another good way of them interacting with you and interacting with their surroundings as well. You have to remember that most children are going to say they're tired. Who wouldn't? Who would rather walk when you've got a pushchair to go in? So be aware that children are very, very clever, and they know exactly how to get their mummies and daddies or their nannies and grandpas to do what they want to do. So just be aware that if your child's going, oh, I'm tired, and they haven't had a walk yet, then you know that they're not tired actually. They're just saying that. So just be aware that you need to be firm and say, look, you can have a walk for a little bit, and then you can sit in the pushchair, and then you can have a bit of a rest, and then we can walk again. You can make walks really, really fun for your child by talking to your child and pointing out all the things you can see. And I mean everything. I mean, no matter how insignificant you think things are, to your child who is new to walking by themselves, out of the pushchair, everything is going to be a bit of a wonder. So you might want to point out the numbers on the bins as you go past them. You might want to point out the different vehicles that you see on the roads. You might want to point out the traffic lights and what colour they are, the different shops. You might see a person that has that's walking a dog. You might hear some birds and say, oh, listen to the birds in the trees. Your child is going to be viewing the world from a completely different viewpoint from you. So just remember that. Not everything that we see, pardon me, we take for take for granted. We see things all the time, and nothing's a wonder to us anymore as adults. I don't think we kind of don't see as much wonder as what a child does. So just keep that in mind when you're walking down the street. When going long distance, then by all means take a buggy to start off with, but only really use it if your child becomes tired of walking, and just keep giving them those opportunities to walk. Most people that are coming to Oxford Road Community School will live within about a 10-minute walk from the school, and so really there is no need for your child to be in a pushchair when they come to nursery or reception. Even at the end of the session, your child will still have enough energy to walk that 10 minutes home. So avoid bringing a pushchair for your child, and give them that opportunity to exercise those legs and strengthen those muscles, and talk to you about the journey to and from nursery and reception. The key to getting your child to walk out of the pushchair is to give them enough time to do so. If you are living 10 minutes away and you set off 10 minutes before you need to get to school, it's not going to give your child enough time to walk at their speed. And walking at your speed is going to make them a little bit more anxious. It's going to make the journey a little less enjoyable. So just bear that in mind. If you allow an extra 5 or 10 minutes to get to school, then this will make sure that if your child is dawdling along a little bit, which they do because they want to look at everything, they've got the time to do that, and then they know that you're not getting stressed because you're not going to be late. Okay. Children who are prone to running off, you can buy little toddler backpacks. Aldi do them quite cheap, and I'm sure you can get them on places like Amazon. And they're little backpacks that go on their back, but then they have a little rope that comes off that you can hold on to as parents, so that they can walk, still ensure that they're holding hands, and I'm going to mention that in a minute. But the rope just gives you that extra bit of comfort that, you know, if they do let go of hands, they're not going to run off straight away. Insist on holding hands from the beginning and teach road safety as well. So if you teach them to hold your hands to start off with, then this will get easier. This will be easier as they get older, and they will then hold your hands. It's really important that children hold your hands, because there are all sorts of dangers on the street. There are cars, there are cyclists, there are other people, and if your child is holding your hands, they are close to you and you know where they are. If they're not holding hands, even if they're not running off, there could be all sorts of different dangers that could arise, and it's a lot safer that you hold hands and teach your child that holding hands is the best thing to do. And road safety, if you're crossing the road, just make sure that you teach your child how to do this safely. So using the crossings provided, there's one right outside the school where you have to push the button and then you have to wait for the green man to come on, and just explain that you still have to check left and right, because sometimes there are naughty cars that don't look at the red lights and sometimes they keep going. So it's really important that they still look left and right when they're crossing the road. And just acknowledge that they're good listening. So, you know, when they're walking and they're doing what they should be, they're holding hands, just acknowledge that and say, you're doing a really, really good job. I really like how you're listening to mummy, or I really like how you're listening to daddy, and I really like that you're holding hands because you want to be safe. Just give them a little bit of encouragement. And so the main point really is to get your children walking out the pushchair. Build those leg muscles up, build that core muscle up, and this will help them as they get older, as their muscles develop. This will help them to be strong children who can move about, use their gross motor skills, and get on. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for listening. Take care. Goodbye.